artist friends. My name is Claude Monet, and Miss Raven is here to read you a story about me and a frog named Philippe. I am one of the most famous French Impressionist artists that you will ever meet. I am famous for my water lily paintings. Now, let's listen to the story from Miss Raven. The book is written by Lisa Job Carmack, illustrated by Lisa Kenny Chasseau, and it is titled Philippe in Monet's Garden. Bonjour! It says, special of the day at the restaurant is frog legs. This story begins in a frightful way. Frog legs, special of the day. And here we have the title page. In the city of Paris, as everyone knows, frog legs are eaten except for the toes. They are buttered and baked and sometimes fried, and the bigger the better is always the guide. A train ride away in the French countryside lived a frog named Philippe with a marvelous stride. He got his name because of his leap, which was the biggest and grandest, just like his feet. Philippe liked to play in his pond every day, and he tried not to mind when his friends were unkind. Tee-hee, ha-ha, you're a dumb-looking frog, they teased the unhappy Philippe. Your thighs are too long, your shape is all wrong. You can't be our friend, you just don't belong. The frog catcher crept with his big trusty net as they bullied Philippe and made fun of his feet. Oh no, it's not fair, they cried in despair. Philippe in your net is a far better bet. Big feet or not, I haven't been caught. These legs won't be buttered and baked or fried. But as for you, well, I bid you goodbye. Leap, leap, Philippe, he heard the sheep bleat, and he kept on hopping. There was no time for stopping as he made his escape from a gruesome fate. Just when Philippe was all out of leap, he came to the gate of the Monet estate, and reading the sign, which suited him fine, he begged Monet's pardon and entered the garden. Monet's garden, no frog hunting. Monet, that's me. Oh my, what a size! I can't believe my eyes, exclaimed the painter Monet. What a physique! Those legs are très magnifique! You're the perfect addition to my garden, not my kitchen. Philippe's grin grew a mile wide. He wouldn't be buttered and baked or fried. This smile became his only expression because Monet's garden made quite an impression. Monet showed him the pond of which he was fond, where he painted the light between daybreak and night. And as for Philippe, there were bugs of all kinds, green ones and pink ones on which he could dine. So Philippe found a home to call his own, and Monet added some green to his painterly scene. And then the back of the book just gives us a little bit more information about Claude Monet. He lived more than 100 years ago. He actually had a bright pink house, and he had this pond. He actually had the green bridge built over the pond. And I read that he had no intention of painting the bridge and the pond. He just loved nature. But he wound up painting water lilies with the green Japanese bridge, and that's become one of his most famous artworks. He did thousands of paintings while he was alive. All right. So we are going to be designing our own little frog. We're going to make our own little Philippe the frog out of modeling clay. So let's get started. All right, friends, we have some supplies that we are going to need to use today. So I have some orange modeling clay. There's a reason why you have these specific pieces. I have orange, I have a little piece of white, and I have an even smaller piece of black. So be careful not to lose your pieces. Then we have a large piece of green. Now we're going to have to carefully plan out our design My green's a little stuck in the cup. We're gonna have to carefully plan out our design because we've got to make sure that we think about all the pieces that we will need in order to create our frog. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little bit of color mixing. You don't really need any orange for the frog. But the reason why I'm giving you an extra color, you may have orange, you may get yellow, you may get a different color, but I'm giving you this different color so that you can make a different type of green. So I'm gonna try to pinch off an equal part. I'm gonna try to make these look kind of even. So that's a lot more green than this orange. So I'm gonna make it the same size so I can kind of see what I need to get. All right, I think that'll be about equal there. All right, so I've got my orange and I've got my green, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix these two together. I don't need the orange for anything on my frog, but I do need a different kind of green. The orange and green are gonna make kind of a toadish green color. It's a really pretty olive green. And then if you get yellow, yellow and green are gonna make a yellow green color, a lime green. You could even use white. White with green would make a really pretty light green that we could use. So the reason we're mixing this color here, friends, we need a color for the spots. We're gonna put some spots on our frog. And even though a frog has 4 legs, I played around with the design of our frog. We're gonna make our frog have 2, just because he sits up better and the overall design at the end looks better. All right, so I'm mixing that kind of toadish color, and you can see that it's come out a little bit different. I can still see some orange and some green in there. You can leave it like that if you'd like, or you can keep messing with it until it gets a little bit darker or mixed together, more mixed. All right, so the white and the black, you may have guessed, the white and the black are for his eyes. So I've got to plan what I need to do with all of this. We've already got our pieces here. I'm gonna use this for his tummy, and I'm gonna use it for some spots. This will be the whites of the eye. This will be the dark spots on the eye. Now, all of this green over here, I need a pretty big chunk for his body. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to take, maybe even close to half. I would say let's do 1/3 for his body. So I've got 1/3 of my clay for his body. So I'm just planning everything out. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna think, all right, I need some clay for his legs and his feet. Let me go ahead and pinch off enough for his feet. 1 foot, 2 feet. We're gonna pretend his other legs are hiding behind these. So I'm just gonna do 2 feet, and then I'm gonna break this apart, and now I've got 1 leg and 2 legs. And you may actually wind up having a little bit left over if you figure out that something's too big or too small. All right, so in order to get started on the rest of it, I'm going to take my big chunk here. I think my legs might be too big, and you can play around with that. I'm gonna take a little bit off of each leg and add it to my body piece. All right, so I took that off of there just because I think that's gonna be enough. And I'm gonna roll this out, and we're gonna go ahead and do all the green parts first. So that way, if we didn't measure right, we can just ball it back up and we can start again for the green parts. Add this stuff on last. All right, so I'm rolling a sphere. You can use your hand and roll on the table. If you want to make your frog design different from Miss Raven, go for it. But you have the materials in your cup. Everybody has the same things, so you would just have to make those materials work for whatever design you do. So I'm just pressing this flat a little bit, and I like to actually pinch up the top. I'm going to try to make it look like the head's a little bit smaller, and this is going to be the bottom of the body. So if you want the head to be a little bit smaller, just pinch the top. You could always do this with just an oval. That'll be fine. But you can see I'm just kind of pressing a little bit. People's body shapes for your frogs are going to turn out different. I want my frog to sit up, but for right now I'm going to lay him this way so that you guys can see clearly on the camera what I'm doing. All right, so I've got my green for the body. All right, now I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to roll out some legs. So I can start with a sphere, but I'm going to roll back and forth like this, and I'm going to try to roll a worm. Let me move these out of my way. I'm going to try to roll a worm or a log, and I want to get enough length that I can fold myself some legs. Okay, all right, so that's going to turn into a leg. So I want to try to make another leg that's about the same length, and I can actually pinch and mold it like this and get my log started if I want to. The only issue with that is you might have some bigger spots and some smaller spots, so I'm going to roll out where it's biggest. And I like to roll a long way. so that it gets longer. If you roll like this, your leg's gonna get flat. All right, I'm gonna try to get them the same length. That one's a little bit too short. Gonna keep going. I'm glad I took some of that green clay away from the legs and put it on here, because it looks like I have plenty for the legs. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold these together, okay? I'm gonna fold this together too. So I just made myself 2 little curved pieces, and these are gonna become the legs. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck this under here and press it. I'm gonna tuck this under here and press it, and it's gonna look like our frog is sitting. Now you can tuck the legs up and kind of press a little bit on the sides, and it'll look like he's sitting with his legs up, okay? Just like we saw Philippe in the book. So, all right, now it looks kind of weird because there's no feet yet. This is how he will sit, okay? And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these little guys and I'm gonna roll some spheres. Sphere, okay, and then I'm gonna do a sphere. Okay, and then I'm gonna press down on these. So 1 and 2. And then I'm just gonna sit this one and sit this one here. So now you can see I've got little feet underneath Philippe's body, and I'm just gonna kind of push the frog down. It can be Philippe or it can be a different frog, whatever you want it to be. All right, my feet are a little bit uneven. I could pull those off and I could fix that, but I'm gonna try to just play around with my fingers here. No matter what kind of clay you're using, your hands are your best tool. I remember when I took clay classes in college, my best tool was my hands. No matter what kinds of tools I had, my favorite and my best were my hands. All right, so you're gonna take a pencil. Everybody should have a pencil. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of press our pencil down into the clay, and it'll make the feet of your frog. So it makes a nice little texture there. All right, so I feel like my frog is looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and add the eyes. So I'm gonna take this white and I'm gonna divide it equally. Unless you want a silly frog, you could do 1 big eye and 1 little eye. All right, so I'm just gonna roll these into nice little spheres, okay, little balls or spheres. All right, you could put the eyes separate, you could put the eyes close together, whatever you prefer. All right, and then I'm just gonna gently press those on. With modeling clay, you just kind of gently press things on and they stick. All right, so my frog's looking kind of cute. I'm gonna lay the pencil behind him just so I can prop him up a little bit. All right, the black, you should have just a little bit of black because you don't need much. And so I'm gonna take the black and I'm just gonna roll some little spheres again. And if you feel like there's too much black, you can take some of it out. All right, so I'm gonna press this onto here. I'm gonna press this onto here. Okay, and I think his eyes are looking kind of cute. All right, I'm gonna grab another pencil so I can make him a mouth here. All right, you can draw his mouth in. I'm just gonna do little dots going across. Try to pull it a little bit. I think the pulling it looks a little better. All right, and then I'm gonna give him his little nose, a dot and a dot. So I've got 2 dots for the nose, the nostrils, and then I've got his little smile. Now my last thing that I need to do is use this pretty green that we made by mixing our other colors. So I'm gonna take part of this and I'm going to make a little tummy for my frog. So I'm just gonna roll another sphere, and then I'm actually going to press it down and I'm gonna try to make a little pancake. You might wanna make a pancake in your fingers because when you press it onto the table, sometimes it just sticks and you can't get it up. So I'm trying to make him a little tummy. So that's gonna cover up part of his mouth. All right, so I'm planning, I'm thinking, all right, I don't like that. So I'm actually you could actually use your scissors and cut it off, but I'm gonna try this with my pencil. All right, so I just took my pencil and I cut off the top, and I'm gonna put his little tummy right here. All right, that's looking good. I can kind of press it on, play with it. Another thing I can do is I could take my eraser and I could or even the other end of my pencil, and I could put some texture on the tummy. All right, now this, I may not even need all of this. For this, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna put some spots on his leg and on his back.